Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So this box recently was dropped off at my house and it contains what I think might be the most important wedge that I've received in a long time from Titleist Vokey Design. This is a Titleist WedgeWorks 44 F-grind wedge. Okay, so I can hear a bunch of you saying already, well, the SM10 wedges have been out for a little over a year at this point, and we've had F-grind wedges in various lofts for a long time. They've been going from 46 all the way up into sandwiches and lob wedges. Super popular grind. What's the big deal? Now, as the name would imply, this wedge has 44 degrees of loft, making it the lowest lofted, the strongest lofted Titleist Vokey Design WedgeWorks offering that we've ever had. And that opens up a world of possibilities for a lot of golfers out there. And that's why, again, I think this wedge is super important. To go over just a little bit of housekeeping, the F grind is a relatively straight grind. It's basically an extension of your iron set. And so it's been really popular in pitching wedges and in gap wedges for a number of years within the Titleist family. There are a number of players who also play it in their sand wedge because it is very versatile and very predictable. They like that out of the sand. There's just a little bit of heel relief that's going on right in here, and just like all the SM10 wedges that again came out about a year ago, each one of the grooves is individually inspected by Titleist to make sure that it is absolutely as sharp as the USGA and the RNA will allow. So you're going to be able to maximize spin with this. There is also 10 degrees of bounce that's going to be incorporated into the 44F, just like the 46F and the 48F, the traditional F grind pitching wedges that Titleist has had. This one has 10 degrees of bounce. But it's this number right here, this 44, that I think is the real key. You see, over the course of the last several years, more and more players are using irons that are stronger and stronger lofted. The popularity of better player distance irons, game improvement irons getting stronger lofted, even better player, more accomplished player irons have gotten slightly stronger lofted than they certainly would have been 10, 15, 20 years ago. Before, a standard pitching wedge used to be around 48 degrees back in the day. Now a pitching wedge is getting to be more like, say, 46 degrees, and that's fine. Until you get into considering the gapping throughout your iron set, and when you go out and you buy that brand new set of irons that you really love, there could be trouble if you're somebody who really likes to go with a true pitching wedge, a wedge pitching wedge, rather than the pitching wedge that would automatically come with your set of irons. So let me explain. This is a Titleist T200 iron, a super popular club that is sort of like right in between the game improvement set as well as the better player distance category. The 9 iron that comes standard with the Titleist T200 is going at 38.5 degrees of loft, and the corresponding pitching wedge that would come with the Titleist T200 set is going to be at about 43 degrees of loft. So if you're somebody who played T200 and you took out the pitching wedge that came with your T200 set that had 43 degrees of loft in a hollow body construction iron, and you put in a solid bodied 46 degree Titleist Vokey Design F grind pitching wedge, you'd be creating a very large gap, probably with distance, certainly with loft, that would really be something you would have to work around. It would be very easy to sort of get in between yardages where you're either going to have to take a little off a 9 iron, or you're going to have to really try and muscle that 46 degree pitching wedge. It's not what you want from the scoring clubs. But if you were to take out that 43 degree T200 pitching wedge and put in a 44 degree Titleist WedgeWorks wedge, then that gap pretty much goes away. You have a natural, logical progression. This wedge can be bent stronger or weaker. So if you really wanted to make sure that your distance gaps made a lot of sense, working with a good custom fitter, you'd be able to do that. But quick little side note, anytime that you are changing the loft, you're also simultaneously going to be changing the bounce. So again, I told you that this 44 degree pitching wedge is going to have 10 degrees of bounce. If you make 44 into 43, you're also going to be taking off 1 degree of bounce. So 10 degrees of bounce goes to 9. If you take off 2 degrees to make it even stronger, 10 degrees then goes to 8, etc. If you weaken loft, you're also adding bounce. So when you're talking with your custom fitter and you're discussing how you're potentially going to be increasing or decreasing the loss, also understand you're going to be changing the bounce as well. Now, this stronger lofted iron phenomenon has been going on for a long time, and it's certainly not something that's simply going to be happening just with Titleist. A number of other brands have also strengthened the lofts through many of their game improvement and better player distance irons as well. So if you start considering, for example, that the TaylorMade P790, a very popular iron, a 39 degree 9 iron there with a 44 degree pitching wedge. The Callaway Elite irons that have been new for 2025, 37 degree 9 iron, 42 degree pitching wedge. The Ping I530s, 37 degrees of loft in the 9 iron, again, 42 degrees in the pitching wedge. So you can sort of see It's really important if you're somebody who wants to play with a traditional pitching wedge, a true pitching wedge, you have to consider what kind of loft you've got in your 9-iron and then to try and find a really good loft for your pitching wedge. 46 degrees of loft from Vokey was the strongest lofted pitching wedge that they had. This 44 opens up some new opportunities for players who maybe from a gapping standpoint could never have put in a Vokey pitching wedge to go along with the irons that they had in their bag. And that's the reason why I think this club could be a game changer for a lot of players. Now, if there is a downside to the WedgeWorks 44 F-grind wedge, it is going to be the price. This is $225, which is a lot of money for a wedge. When you consider that the typical Titleist SM10 wedges are going for $189, we're talking about an increase here of about $36. So this is real money for a pitching wedge. But the corresponding iron that might be coming with the new set of irons that you pick up for this season is probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of that. A lot of people are buying their irons a la carte. For example, in my set, I play a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 iron, and then I've got a true pitching wedge in there. So it's something that you can talk to a good custom fitter about, the option of buying individual irons rather than the traditional 7-iron set. If you do that, you'll be saving a little bit of money, and therefore then you can get into potentially looking into this 44-degree pitching wedge. So look, I fully understand that not everybody's going to go out and buy a $225 44-degree pitching wedge. We all know that that's not going to happen. But to me, the really important thing is that Titleist is just offering this in the first place. I talked to some people within Titleist and had some really interesting conversations. There was talk of having the 44 being a part of the SM10 lineup because many pros, even elite players, for example, like Wyndham Clark, have put a 44 into their bag, had it weakened to get to 45, and they really like the performance that they're getting out of the club. There is a market for a club like this, and since we should be in about a year's time talking about a new sort of family of Titleist Vokey design wedges. It's not out of the realm of possibility that a 44-degree wedge could be introduced into that set along with the 46 and the 48. And for me, that is a fantastic thing that would give more players the opportunity, if they wanted, to put a true pitching wedge in their bag instead of going with the extension of their irons, which basically becomes like a 10-iron. I love the idea that Titleist is offering this in the first place. I think it's definitely something that shows the brand recognizes there's an issue when it comes to gapping and distances in critical clubs. They're trying to do something about it, at least from the start. So fingers crossed that more and more brands are going to be offering stronger lofted pitching wedges to compensate for the stronger lofts that are through most irons these days. If you have any questions about wedges, please feel free to drop them in the comment area below. And if you got some really good information out of this video, it'd be fantastic if you would like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. It really, really helps me out a lot. I do try and monitor that comment area. So again, if you have any general golf equipment questions as well, I'm happy to try and help you out as best I can. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.